Hey, Mike Merlin means Merlin Public Media, talking shit with Merlin. Tonight we're going to have a rather interesting talking shit because knowing my guest, we probably spend a good deal of time talking the good shit, if you all know what I mean. And I got a smile out of that one. So tonight with me is,
My name's Ryan Cofer.
and who is Ryan Cofer? And why are you here?
I'm some dude from Arizona who grew up raising animals, and now I'm really, really passionate about cannabis.
Cool. So how did you get there?
How did I get here? Shit.
With the cannabis part.
Let's see. So I'd say my first interaction with cannabis, I was 17. Smoking with friends. I kind of had the straight edge mentality where it was like drugs are bad, okay, and all that stuff. But I was hung out with potheads. All my friends were potheads, and I knew they were just chill. They were less drama, yada yada. But I didn't really understand why they smoked. And then one night, hanging out at my buddy's house, just turned 17. It was right after my 17th birthday, and it was summer break in between senior year. And fuck it, we were just watching South Park, and his brother came home with a sack, and I was like, fuck it, I'll smoke it and see what it's all about, and I'll see if you guys are just dumb potheads or what. And
Okay.
that night I fell in love. I really did. I mean, I felt really good. I felt happy. It was giggly. It was euphoric. Got a little bit of the paranoia, all the good stuff. But then I had went pretty hot and heavy for a while. And then once I got out of high school, I had the good job, where I was getting drug tested and randoms and all the heavy industrial work. So I kind of stepped away from it. Going back here and there, friends' birthdays, and when I married my wife, I smoked with my father-in-law and all that stuff. But then I got sick, and I had some pretty heavy autoimmune disease that I was dealing with, and cannabis was the only thing that helped it. So it went from drug as a kid to me learning about it when I couldn't use it and trying to study it for what it was, and then me actually needing it as medicine. And for the past 4 or 5 years now, it's been my go-to all day, every day. I don't take fucking pharmaceuticals anymore. I don't drink alcohol anymore. I don't know other illicit substances. I don't do any other hard
It's
drugs.
legal, dude.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm still. That's
I know.
that's a weird one for me too. Like, I'm still young, but even working in the industry, like, because I grow cannabis professionally too. And it's like, even in the industry, it's like fucking every day I got to check. It's like, man, this is still a Schedule I substance according to the feds. It's like,
Right.
I'm getting a paycheck, I'm paying my taxes, I'm paying my bills, I'm feeding my kids, but according to the feds, it's still weird getting my head around that one for sure.
Yeah, it's well, and I've got a couple years on you. But I smoked when I was younger. I stopped for a period of time in which I was an absolute raging alcoholic. I got a 3-year blank in there someplace. Long story short, something woke my ass up. I cleaned up and did nothing for years. Moved to Arizona to, be with Juanita. That's another long story. But and every once in a while we, have a little bit here and there, but and then a good friend of ours, oh geez, what the hell is Michael's last name? I can't remember, but he was I'm gonna hate myself for that. He was a heavy legalization advocate and worked hard, real hard. And shortly after it passed, so did he suddenly. But the first time I walked into a dispensary, it was like, the fuck? It's just out there. I mean, you walk up to it and see it. And not only that, but you can pick it up and you can take it home.
In a nice little baggie.
Yeah. And it's just, and I had pretty much that freak out up until just a couple of days ago. We stocked up a little bit, and I didn't have any of that. I walked in, and this is what we want, and how much is it, and and I'll pack it up. I'll check the IDs and go home. And I used to get in the car and like shove it under the seat, and get my
Yeah,
ass home as fast
straight
as I
home.
could, man,
Yeah,
because
straight
it's
fucking
not
home.
right. This isn't right. But we made a couple other stops on the way home, and I got home and I'm like, damn, I didn't
Holy
freak
shit.
out. It's just a thing now, and it's
Quote unquote normal, right? It's starting to get normal, whatever that means. And it's like, wow, it's really weird still. But yeah, it's just becoming part of our lives and our day now to go to the pot shop when you need some stuff. And
yeah.
yeah,
We had
pretty crazy.
3 plants last year. Um, they were all right. We had some auto flowers. They were pretty good, but at the end of the period there, we're like, we got a lot more to learn, man. We just got a lot because they were little. I mean, I think the tallest one was like 18 inches, maybe a foot across,
Yeah,
in little grow bags. And, come to find out that the size of the pot has a lot to do with the size of your pot. Um, and so
for sure.
we're we're prepping to start because we do outside.
Yeah, yeah.
There, I'm not setting up, a light rig and a humidity, and I'm not doing it. I'm just, so you time it here. So about January, we'll probably get them out, and 90-ish days later, we should be good. And then our plan is to do like January, July, because you get it in the ground in July. And if you get through August, you're pretty good.
Yeah.
And you go for the rest of your, 3 to 4 months and go on. But yeah, it's still kind of weird because,
Just plants growing in your backyard or,
yeah,
yeah. Talking about it with people like, hey, I'm growing a couple marijuana plants. And they're,
yeah. And
okay, me too, It's like,
I don't
okay.
tell, I'm picky who I talk to it about. Of course, I just blew the shit out of that right now.
Yeah, but for sure. I mean, yeah. I tell people that I grow, people, because I try to encourage more people to grow. It is legal. Yes, it's got that weird quasi gray area where you got to keep it out of public view and it's
Hmm.
supposed to be lock and key and all that
Hmm.
shit. But like, I still encourage people to grow it because it's like, man, if you like weed, you're gonna really like growing it. You're gonna get frustrated by it, but you're gonna be rewarded in a way that you never really have experienced before if you've never grown it.
Well, and
So yeah,
we a full 20% of my day is gardening anyhow. I
yeah,
mean, the sun comes up, I let the chickens out, I feed them, and I go out and I water we have like little satellite gardens all over the front yard.
hell yeah,
Grow
yeah,
pouches and beds and wicking beds and just all kinds of shit. I go out there and I water all of that, and it's planting season.
yeah.
So all kinds of stuff are starting to come up, and you just watch these and you're going, another 4 or 5 months, I'm going to be eating you, man. And we've got onions, tomatoes, okra. I'm trying to remember what corn, but the corn is for the girls. Amaranth, da da da,
Do you grow
peppers.
sweet potatoes?
You know what? We sweet potatoes. We grow the shit out of them, but not necessarily for sweet potatoes.
For the foliage, for the cover crop,
Foliage,
to
cover,
aerate the soil.
the nitrogen fixing.
Yeah, for
And
sure. I do the
if
same
you
thing.
leave the sweet potatoes in the ground, and we'll get a few,
Yeah,
uh, they decompose, they fertilize the soil, and it's
buddy.
like crack for chickens.
Yes.
You take back a handful of stems and leaves, and they will go nuts.
They go to town
Uh
on
huh.
it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, no, sweet potatoes are. It's kind of just like a given for us.
They do really well out here. They just,
They
man, they
do.
just,
They love the heat. It's
oh, they just
shocking.
take off. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I grow
And,
them in my cannabis garden as like a cover crop to keep
okay.
the soil humidity up, and then
Uh-huh.
also the nitrogen fixing and all that good
Hmm.
stuff. Yeah, but yeah, I still like to eat them too.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got to remember, you got to cure those things.
Yes,
And a
yes.
lot of people don't, they take out that grind, why do
Hot
you
and
no?
humid.
What?
No, hot and humid for a few days after you
Yep.
harvest.
Yep.
Yep,
Just like, onions and garlic, all those got to be cured before you can eat them.
yep.
And I don't know what happens if you don't cure it. I just like, no, you got to do that shit. So I'm like, okay, man, I can do that.
Yeah.
'Cause,
I think they just don't last as long. I think they'll just dry out really quick, and yeah, I think the curing kind of sets like a skin or something. I'm not
could
100%
be. I'm
sure.
not real sure either, but
Yeah.
it's just, the old people did it. And seeing this is
Yep.
another thing we're learning. And I know you're part of this whole concept too. The old time farmers, they
They had
knew shit.
so much knowledge, man.
They,
So much knowledge.
they could feel the soil, they could feel the air, they could feel the weather, and they knew what to do. And we're getting around to applying science to that and say, yeah, these dudes, they were right. They had it.
Yep. They didn't
And
have every reason or every process down behind it or why, but man, they knew to do it, and they knew that it needed to be done, and
yep, yeah.
it's a process. Yeah.
And recently we started, well, more Juanita than I, a relatively deep study into mycelium um, for plant and soil health.
Yes. I want to grow
And
stropharia, the giant wine caps.
oh
They're supposed to
geez.
be really good for your soil, very good nutrient fixers, carbon sequestration, all kinds of stuff.
And then when you
And,
get
and the fruit's delicious.
down to the microbiology, the way that the fungi help plants communicate with each other, literally communicate
Literally.
with each other. And people
Yeah.
are like, no, man, that's some fairy tale shit. And I'm like, no, dude, the science is there. We've seen
They
it
are
under the
a
microscope.
they are a hyper intelligent, interconnective, conscious highway for nutrient delivery and for bacteria.
Yep, they're
It,
they're
oh,
amazing.
they are
And
fantastic.
I'm not the student that my wife is. This is her thing, and she shares with me, and and I study, well, what we're doing now in stage stuff, which basically, she's watched me work, but it not her thing. But we garden. It's our day. The chickens is our clock, and the gardening is what we do. And you know, just after dark, we lock up the coop. The girls are on the roost and they're down for the night. At that point in the night, the day kind of slows down and settles down, and it's time to relax and have some dinner, fire up a bowl, just take it easy for the rest of the night. But there's so much we still need to learn, especially with the marijuana growing, because I mean our stuff was okay.
Yeah,
Um, and on the other side of it was trifle disappointing.
for sure. It's a challenge, especially out here in the Arizona desert,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Oh my goodness. That's why I'm making seeds. I'm trying to breed and select plants that do well out here in our environment, that can withstand the wind, the intense heat, and the
yeah,
UV, and then also the snap into the monsoon that we have, where we go from super dry and hot to super wet
yeah.
and constant.
That was they did not react well to that shit. They did not
Oh,
react well at all.
most of my plants haven't either. Yeah.
So and I'm glad somebody is focusing on what's the best cultivar for here, because just like any other type of gardening, I can speak English. We are the minority. Everything is different here.
Yeah. Yeah.
When Phoenix is close, but close. that's, there's things that Phoenix will grow that, we just can't because we are that much hotter and that much drier.
Yep.
God, my
And that
summer
much
water
colder in
bill.
the wintertime. We are a weird little microclimate where we're at.
Yeah.
It's cool in the winter, very cold, sometimes very wet. So we've had winters where it's just rained all damn winter long. You know, so
And that's our rain for the year. I mean,
pretty
monsoon
much,
season is a joke anymore. It's humidity season. The rain, what rain?
yeah, almost nothing this year, man.
I know.
Last year was like the wettest season that I
Mhm.
have seen since I've been alive, and then this year was just right back to normal.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, it's bipolar as fuck over here.
Well, and I've been watching, when I first started getting into gardening here, spring and fall was, if you're lucky, couple of weeks. I mean, it's hotter than hell. Okay, it's really nice. Okay, it's cold. But
Yep,
our spring and falls have been growing.
I
You
agree
know,
with you.
this
They've been
this
stretching. They've been
last
stretching
spring was like 3 months, and we're like, is this here to stay? Do we plan for this or what? And you don't know.
every year is different.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But it keeps me busy. It's something to do. Well, okay. Short story. 30 years ago, before there was an internet, there were these things called BBSs, bulletin board systems. I don't know if you ever heard of them,
No, probably not.
but they're like on some dude's computer in his house. Okay.
Okay.
And he might have one phone line, he might have six, he might have 30. But every connection required an individual phone line.
Okay.
And being the, I don't know if geek or nerd is proper, but back in the day, I mean, I got into this and I had a 2800 baud modem. Okay. Wow. Hey, at the time that was the shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm bopping around through a free net, through the university and the town outside of where I lived. And I started going all these different places, and years go by and the modems get faster, 3600, 14.4K, 28K. And it's like 28K is like, oh my God. And then it got up to 56.6. And at about that point in time is when I found out about this place called Bullhead City. And they got a really cool BBS out there. So I go out, and like the second day I go out there, and I know this place is in the desert, and the people are telling me how hideously ugly the place is, and and so this lady comes into the public chat saying, I need volunteers for a tree planting project. And I'm sitting in Ohio going, fucking nuts. Everybody with a brain knows don't shit grow in the desert. Well,
Yeah.
about a year and a half later, I'm out here with her taking my Arizona Master Gardener training class and growing shit in the desert.
Isn't it fun?
It's like nothing. Back in Ohio, you threw the seeds on the ground, the shit grew, you had to weed it.
Right.
That's it.
You
Here
relied
it's,
on the weather to help take care of your crop.
and if you went, a week and a half, 2 weeks of that rain, okay, you got to water. But here,
A day or two.
yeah, and something, especially seedlings. Seedlings are every day.
Yep.
Because
Oh
that
yeah.
top half inch dries out now.
Yep. Yes. I've got my whole everywhere where I'm not growing, I have on my property, I have it wood chipped. So
Okay,
I've got
yeah.
for 3-4 inches of wood chip everywhere. I wish I had a foot, but
I know.
and then in my garden, which I'm learning might not be great because I haven't been testing for it, but I haven't had issue, knock on wood, is using straw mulch. So I
Okay.
just use oat straw that I buy from the store, and I just totally mulch my whole garden, and then dig a little pocket, plant my seeds in.
Okay.
So
The potential problem with that is most of
glyphosate,
those things are glyphosate before you harvest it. So everything is uniformly dead.
yeah,
And it can leach. And there's another
yeah,
chemical, and when Juanita sees this, she's going to give me hell for not remembering the name of it. Makes glyphosate look like candy.
yeah,
It's that much worse. I can't remember the name to save me, but that's the problem with that. We
yeah. I gotta
did
figure out a way around it. Yeah.
well. We're trying something. Um, there's a grass plant called vetiver.
Uh huh.
Okay,
Okay.
and it the roots on this thing are they'll punch through caliche.
Okay. Okay.
So if you're not in a hurry and you've got an area you want to garden that's got caliche, you plant the vetiver, it'll poke holes through that shit to get below it. It'll take a few years.
Yeah. 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 But
Okay. But you go up top and you cut that shit off and you mulch with it. You grow cover crops and you cut that shit off and just let it lay there.
yeah,
And, because you've grown this stuff, you know what's on it.
yeah. That's where I need to get to the next season. I was
Mhm.
thinking about a winter rye.
We're about to do, try to give me a second, barley and broccoli and kale
Just as a cover crop?
as a cover crop.
Interesting. Okay.
And, we buy bulk organic barley for our chickens. It's part of their food mix.
Okay.
So, you throw it out there. We've done rye, we've done barley, we've done a couple other things, but, roots in the ground.
Yeah.
Get roots in the ground and stuff you can chop and drop. And, because our soil here, the native soil is crap.
Oh,
I mean,
totally.
it's literally in many places just plain dead.
Dust.
There's
Yeah, there's
nothing. There's no
zero
life.
organic matter. There's
Uh-huh.
nothing alive in it. There's no moisture for feet. You can go multiple feet, a foot and a half, two
Yep.
feet underground before you're reaching any sort of moisture to the soil.
Yeah.
It's dead. It's dead.
Do you
And then once
compost?
you get down, yeah, as much as I can. I
Mm-hmm.
compost, I make Jadam liquid ferment,
Oh, you
chicken
do?
manure. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
see, we haven't done that, but we've talked about that.
Totally try it, man. Any of your weeds, any of your cover crop, if you want to really kind of break it down and then spread it evenly in a liquid format, it's definitely a way to go. I wouldn't personally spray it on living plants, but it's a way to amend your soil. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Yeah.
Juanita watches this guy. I think his YouTube channel is called Garden Like a Viking. And he
Okay.
does a lot of that, like Korean natural farming stuff.
Yeah. Does she watch Chris Trump?
Doesn't ring a bell. She might. I
Okay.
don't watch everything she does, but
He's a Hawaiian macadamia nut farmer. Him and his family have been for a few generations, and they have 750 acres that used to be completely conventional. And
mm-hmm.
within 7 years, he did an entire flip flop to total KNF.
Oh,
So it is all entirely organic. It's nothing but IMO
mm-hmm.
and just it's amazing what that man has done with soil.
This
Yeah.
stuff is catching on. People are, it's surprising. People are like, well, yeah, I just bought this tract of land. It's like, 14 acres, and we're going permaculture. And you just kind of like, you are doing
Yeah.
permaculture?
Yeah.
We got to talk. How the hell? Because, I've known about permaculture since I've been, hanging with Juanita. But,
Wow.
most people are just like, permaculture, IPM,
Yeah.
any of that stuff, and people look at you like, what?
Huh? Yeah. I'm about 6, 7 years deep into my journey on this, and I'm
Hmm.
still not all that
Oh
accomplished,
no.
but learning constantly, trying to apply new methods, trying to figure out what waste resources I can use,
Hmm.
all that good stuff. Yeah.
We
Yep.
got a 200-gallon compost bin in the backyard.
Nice.
We had two. Um, we're in the process of, when this is done, it's going to become a 3-foot tall planter, because old people and bending over doesn't go together really, really well.
For sure. For sure.
So we're looking at, we've got a pretty good design for a 2-bin compost process. Feed one, shovel it to the other, back and forth, and then when you're ready to harvest the one, the other one should be 3/4 ready to go, and just rotate the two. And that's more Juanita's thing. I'm labor and yes, dear.
For sure.
Yeah, because like right now, she's probably out there studying one of these concepts or listening to political news, which, we don't do politics and we don't do religion on Talking Shit with Merlin. Those are the only tools I ever had.
Fair. Fair.
Because you start getting, say you open religion, and everyone's going to want to counterpoint the last person, and you will know it'll just be no damn fun. And
Yeah.
this is supposed to be fun. I mean, it's talking shit. It's
Yep.
it's just a good time. So yeah, I struck those like day one. I'm going to do this, and like, no, we're not. No, those two got to go right now.
Uh, I feel that for sure.
Whoa.
It's
I
a
didn't
thick
realize
cloud
you
you
could
have
make
there.
myself. That cloud just nuked me, man.
Yeah. Fucking Houdini, not Merlin.
Jeez. Ah, fucking lungs.
Oh, yeah.
They're so
I'm
much
glad I'm
better
not
than
a
they used to
welder
be.
anymore.
Pardon me?
I'm glad I'm not a welder anymore.
Oh man, no.
Yeah, I did that for a little over a decade. That was my good job. I was a certified welder a little over a decade.
It's
Kind of
good
got
money.
into yeah, it wasn't bad. Not for my hometown. I did travel a fair bit. That was a good part of it. I got to work for NASA for a couple weeks, so I
Oh
went to
wow.
Cape Canaveral, did some welding there for the shuttle crawler, the big
Oh
machine,
yeah.
everything out to the launch pads. Yeah, so they were doing some disassembly and some modification for the SLS, the new rocket launch
Mm-hmm.
system, and it used to carry like 19 million pounds, and now they needed it to carry like 22, 23 million pounds.
God.
So they were doing some retrofitting and some reinforcement and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I got to go do some of that. That was fun. That big bridge that goes across the Hoover Dam,
Yeah.
spans that canyon. Yeah, I did some fabrication work for that. The big sphere Ferris wheel in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So 7 of those domes that you ride in, I did the fabrication for the frame of those domes.
Oh
Yeah,
wow, man. That's some cool
company
stuff.
I worked for. Yeah, we did some pretty cool shit. I saw some heavy lifting, some rigging, worked at some power plants and mine sites and shit. Got my feet dirty.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was definitely a rough life. So I'm glad I'm not doing that anymore. Now I get to
Yeah.
grow plants and a lot more peaceful.
No doubt. Yeah, I cooked and baked for many, many, many years. Um, got out here at about that time. My feet decided to say "fuck you," so I re-picked up on my old dream of lighting, video, and photography. And I did that for a number of years until the doctor said, "Yeah, man, you got like 4 years to live, and you're gonna die a brutal, ugly death." And of course, by that point in time, I physically couldn't do the work.
Yeah.
So I'm still selling off some of my stuff. It's like, it's a bitch. I mean, these are like, after Juanita, my best friends, this is my lighting shit, man. Yeah. Hurts to sell it, but
Absolutely, I bet.
But
Something
you know,
you, something you dedicate your life to, and your craft and your artisanship to. You put a lot of heart and effort and
yeah.
passion behind that. And when it gets stripped away from you, out of your control, and there's nothing you can do about it, man, it's pretty fucking devastating. It hurts.
Well, and you know, the terminal diagnosis was wrong. I'm just
That's
completely
too
wrong.
bad.
My lungs are kind of messed up still.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, um, sleep apnea was the problem that the first pulmonologist completely missed.
Oh, geez.
Okay, you know, you don't get your REM sleep, and then everything goes to shit.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and so I'm being treated for the apnea and emphysema. And if you're over 50, you have COPD. I don't care who you are. It's just how bad yours is. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just, you know, I've
yeah.
got COPD. Well, yeah, but you're over 50 and we all do. And I'm like, okay. But but the apnea diagnosis changed my life. Yeah, I had friends, yeah, this year, this is life changing, man. This is gonna change. And I'm like,
Get
yeah,
on
sure,
a CPAP.
whatever. It
Get on
is.
a CPAP. Yeah.
It is. But okay, let's go back. You know, I don't know how many people here are gonna see what we did the other day, but give us a little bit of your recent journey.
For sure. So to back it up a little bit, I went through what is called the Ganjier program. I signed up, paid for the training, went through the coursework. It's about 40 hours of online coursework, and then it's two trips. Can be done in one. It's about a week long, but I highly recommend two trips. You go up there for training, and then you go up there for certification. And all it really is a certificate saying that you've been trained by this council of people, the Ganjier Council, to assess high quality cannabis. I felt I was a pretty good assessor of what good cannabis was, for smoking, for consuming, for effect wise, especially being somebody needing it for medicine. I needed it to do very specific effects. Um, all cannabis helps out in general with my symptoms, but really narrow it down with genetics and breeding, which is again why I'm so into it. Specific effects really help me a lot.
Okay.
So going to the Ganjier program, I felt pretty confident going into it. I did learn a lot. The certification I haven't done much with. A lot of other people have, but it's just like, hey, you've been trained by this group of people to say that you're good enough and you have a good enough vocabulary and you can talk about cannabis in an intelligent way. Because at that point, I had already been a bud tender and I'd already been working at a cultivation site. Been a patient for years. My wife has been a patient for years. People around me have used cannabis for medicine and fucking, of course, recreation.
Mhm.
But it's something I'm really passionate about. So I went through the program, and then like April or May of this year, this collective of people called the Zomia Collective, Zomia, they reached out to someone in the Ganjier program and put out an invitation to go explore Parvati Valley in India. And the whole point of the expedition is to, for one, go see the cannabis fields and look at all the different genetics and phenotypes and all yada yada. But two, to get a positive interaction going with the native Himachali people and the farmers of these cannabis fields, because they're kind of being a little bit thrown out of whack because of modern times, right? So there's a lot of trash and litter everywhere. The tourism does not help in that aspect.
Mm.
Not necessarily a whole lot of respect always to the locals. They kind of tourism, as in they tourists show up and just kind of like have the expectation that whoever that they meet around is going to know exactly what they want, where they're going. Like, hey, where's the waterfall? How far away is the walk from here to the waterfall? And it's like the locals are like, yeah, it's 20 minutes that way, you know, and it's they say the same thing over and over again to the people. Or it's just like they'll drop in, drop some money, which is nice. The locals don't want to turn that down, but it's just they don't find a good balance with it. So it's just they're trying to get people to come explore the fields that are not necessarily, and then a lot of the tourism there, they're just there for hash. So they're buying hashish off everybody. So that's what they're dropping money on, which is appreciated, but it's kind of not always done respectfully. They're getting in trouble. And there's also a black market. So the true real deal mafia, the Italian mafia is in the fields, kind of dominating some of the bigger markets. Some of the bigger farmers with bigger fields, the mafia can go pay them a fairly low amount of money, more than what they would make for their hash usually, and then they can have access to those fields and its products. So if we can get high quality people that are interested in the preservation of the native and traditional ways that the hash is produced there, and want to preserve it, that will bring more of positive tourism, positive interaction with the locals, and preservation of the native environment. So maybe there'll be some trash cleanup programs, some maybe refuse burning for energy, for electricity, because a lot of these places are fairly disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
But the tour itself was absolutely fucking fantastic. So we met with Brendan from the collective from Zomia. He met us right at the airport. Went straight to a hotel room, got all of our amenities taken care of, paid up for the trip. We did a deposit ahead of time, paid up for the rest of the trip, and then everything was covered. So all of our travel expenses, any of our hotel rooms, all of our food. If we wanted snacks and shit on the side of the road at little markets, only thing that wasn't covered is like souvenirs and then anything extra you want to buy. So,
Mm-hmm.
but that included a fair amount of hash. Like that's kind of the point of the trip, is to get people to experience the traditional hashish.
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of the collective's job to go around and pay the right farmers that are doing a good job and that are making clean product, and make that available to people that will appreciate it. And you also get to go walk through the fields. You're fairly welcome as long as you ask for permission and you're respectful to go collect seeds.
Oh.
Yeah, so I came back with a fucking grip of seeds. So if you're interested in growing Indian genetics, you're more than welcome to some of those, plus the Arizona stuff that I've been breeding for a few years to see if it works out in your garden. You're more than welcome to any of that.
I'd give it a
But
go.
yeah, absolutely, that'd be cool. But so we went there the whole trip was a total of 19 days, but a little over 100 hours of that was just traveling, from airplanes, airport layovers, taxi rides, bus rides, all that shit. But once you're on location in place, you're hiking, so you got to be fit when you get there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fairly thin and lean, but I'm not necessarily athletic or fit by any means. It kicked my ass. It was pretty hard, but we got to where we wanted to go, and we got to see some gorgeous landscape, some wonderful people that were extremely good hosts. The Indian people take a great amount of pride in being a good host or a good service at a restaurant or even a taxi ride. They really do take pride in providing good service. So they're wonderful hosts. Everything's relatively cheap. Of course, you can buy high quality goods. The price goes up from there.
Mm-hmm.
We met a good guy, Ravi. His mom made this hat for me, a traditional Kulvi hat.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so it's sheep's wool, because there's a lot of Gadi sheep farmers up there.
Mm-hmm.
So they're shepherds and they've got sheep or goats, and a lot of them have donkeys too, and they use them to pack things through the hills. Once the season kind of comes down to an end and winter's coming, they'll go through and they basically clear cut the whole mountainsides of all the grass, all the foliage that they can, and they bundle it all up, and then they walk it back home, and they'll store it under their homes on their porches, and they'll dry it out, and that's feed for their livestock throughout the wintertime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's like 3-4 foot of snow up there for 3 months, 4 months,
Oh,
and there's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go, you're
yeah.
just stuck at home with your family. So they all kind of go back to their family homes, and grandkids all the way up to whoever's still living, grandma, great grandma, whoever.
Wow.
And they live pretty simple lives. It's pretty rugged. There's not a lot of amenities, but we were well taken care of to the places that we went to. One of the guys that was on the trip struggled with the food a little bit. It's very vegetarian / vegan.
Mm-hmm.
And it just is what it is. That's what those people sustain themselves off of. Lots of beans and rice and lentils, chickpeas, and lots of seasonings.
Sounds like my kitchen, man.
Man, it's really good. I enjoyed it greatly. I had no problem stuffing myself at every meal. They even would have like a fresh lime and mint chutney, so you could
Oh,
get bread into it. Oh man, it was so good. It was really really good. And then of course you get into deli, or if you go to a higher end restaurant, or if you're willing to pay, even up in the mountains, you can get goat or chicken pretty easily. Mutton, of course, mutton's
yeah.
everywhere. But man, my back's hurt. But yeah, so I had no issues with the food whatsoever. It was delicious. But we got to hang out at some really cool like home, they call them homestays. It's kind of like a homestead, but it's really more business for the tourists. So when they come through, they just have a whole lot of rooms. They have a kitchen. They've got, you know, they'll go load up in the market or the lower markets from a different valley and just stock up for weeks at a time. So anybody rolls through, they can take care of 5, 6, 10 people. There was 5 of us in our group, and it was no issue. We were there for 5 days in one spot, so it was pretty sweet. But we got to rub our own hash, so we could go out into the fields. The guy that gave me this hat, we went out into one of his family fields. He harvested the plants for us, and we sat there, pick all the leaves off the cannabis plants, and then just rub them in your hands. And it's very much a feel thing. You have to sit in the sun so that the warmth on your hands makes it sticky, and then you have to put enough pressure to where you're getting it all off the plant, but you're not crushing the flower, so it's not getting all limp and flimsy in your hand. You're still just, it's really kind of fun. But then after 50, 60 plants, your hands are covered in hashish. And so you sit there and you pluck it all off and roll it up into a little ball and sit there and smoke it. So yeah, this is my chillum that I bought when I was there. Now this is made by an Italian artist, 2 artists actually. One person makes the chillum, one person makes the stone. But this is the traditional clay smoking pipe that is used basically everywhere up in the Himalayas. So it's a clay tube, clay cone, and then it's got this stone that slides inside of it, and the stone has grooves on the side that allows the smoke to pass through. So you slide that in there, and then you put cigarette tobacco and hashish, and then you put a cloth filter on this side, and then you pass it around and everybody smokes it. Take a big fat rip and you pass it around. And again, in the winter time with 3 foot of snow everywhere, there's nothing to do. So a family or a bunch of friends will get together and they'll smoke 60 to 80 chillums, which is 60 to 80 cigarettes plus hash.
Ooh.
In a day. They just do that all day long. They just pass it around. It never stops. It's just constant. And then they just go to bed, and then they wake up the next day and they do it again. So they all just chat and work out issues and figure out what they want to do with their kids and plan for the spring garden and just live life. And they do it in a relaxed state using hashish. So otherwise, I bet it would get kind of tense up there.
You would think locked in there, locked down like that for 3 months at a time, all of your food's got to be in there with you. Your animals are probably inside as well, so they don't freeze to death.
Quite a few of them, yeah.
So, and wow. Yeah, that's that may be a little too much.
It's rustic.
Back to the earth for me.
It's rustic, bud. Yeah, I mean, most of the houses are made out of clay and timber.
Mm-hmm.
They call them mud houses. I mean, they're literally just mud houses because there's not much. They go down to the riverbeds and they get sand and gravel and clay from the recent landfalls because those just become the new riverbeds.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's what they use the donkeys and the goats for. And then they pack it back up to the house, dump it down on the ground and sift it, and they'll use some of it for foundations or building walls or pottery, whatever, all kinds of stuff, building houses.
Use what you got.
A little bit of tin, a little bit of tin, some stone. Most places have chimneys, of course, fireplaces for the
Yeah.
wintertime, right in the center of the house. So it just radiates throughout the whole place.
Oh,
Because
that's
most of
nice.
them don't even have bedrooms. Yeah, most of them probably have maybe one bedroom, but it's just one big open house,
Hmm.
2 stories usually. Yeah. So it was very interesting. It was cool to see, but yeah, living like that would be pretty rough. Be
Yeah.
pretty rough.
Well,
Yeah.
I kind of got used to some of the basic amenities, like running water, a sewer
Yep.
system.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are touch and go out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, when I was little, my grandmother still had her outhouse in the back of what was left of the farm. So yeah, and
Yeah.
middle of the winter, let me tell you, that's cold.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad we went in fall.
Ah, yeah, just yeah.
We got out of there just in time when the snow started falling in the higher mountaintops.
Mm.
So
So
yeah.
is that like the base of the Himalayas? Is that where that is?
So we went up fairly far. We went up to about 8,500 foot
Mm-hmm.
was the highest valley that we went to. We had planned to go to one that was about 12,000 foot, but we didn't make it to that one. We were all pretty roached by the hiking that it took to get to
Yeah.
8,500 foot. So we started off in Kasol. That was the last time we had taken a taxi or whatever. We take a Jeep a little further up to get to some places quicker, but we hiked to 3 or 4 different villages: Narang, Grahan, Malana, Kasol a couple times. Yeah, but it's kind of, we just saw this really narrow spot. Went up over a couple different valleys, but nothing crazy. I guess there's a couple hundred villages and valleys like that throughout the Himalayas that are all kind of doing the same thing. They have their own cannabis fields. Um, yeah, another part of the tourism thing is that they need to produce so much hash because, for one, they need it for themselves to smoke, but then if they can grow more and make more to sell it, they can make more money, right?
Right.
um, what is happening is Nepalis are jumping the border, which apparently is legal. They can hop the border without passport or visa or anything, but then they're jumping over. They're rubbing hash for these farmers and just making a shit ton of it, and then making some cash and then splitting. So that's bringing in more money, more concern, more
Hmm.
mafia type shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the mafia will hire them specifically. They'll hire 60 or 80 of them at one time, and they'll just plow through a field, and then they got a couple kilograms of hash. Well, that turns into a fair amount of money.
I'm sure.
Yeah, especially if you can say it came from Malana Valley or Parvati Valley. Anybody that's a hash connoisseur will just be like, holy shit, if that's real, it might be worth it, you know?
Hmm.
But there's a lot of cutting going on. They're even mixing like petroleum jelly,
Yeah.
just straight up Vaseline in with the hash, because you could put a lighter to it and it'll bubble. Well, people think
Ah.
that's a good thing, and it's like, well, it is for really clean hash, but not when it's mixed with fucking petroleum products.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really sketchy. So a lot of the local tribal governments have tried to get all the villages to, and they are adopting to where, like, okay, so if you're in Malana village, only the plants grown in Malana can be rubbed by Malani people and then sold as Malana
Oh.
hash.
Okay.
And it'll be like that for each village. What's been happening is Milana will rub their stuff, and then any of the local valleys, if they can get it cheap enough, they'll grab it and then mix it in with theirs and then sell it as higher grade.
Hmm.
And it's not copacetic. So the
Yeah.
government's trying to get them to chill out to where it's just, hey, you guys are fine doing your traditional thing, rub enough hash for yourself, rub enough hash to sell the tourists a little bit so they're happy, but not this big black market thing.
Yeah.
We're not going to allow that.
That just fucked up everything.
Exactly. So if they're saying it's cool, because I mean, shit, we were in Grahan and there was like 30 or 40 cops strolling through the village. And in Parvati Valley in Himachal Pradesh, there's no smoking of anything. You can't smoke a cigarette, you can't smoke tobacco, you can't smoke hash, you can't nothing. But
Wow.
we're sitting there at this homestay, and there's like 3 Americans, a Scottish dude, and a fucking French guy, and we're all smoking joints of tobacco and hash,
Mm-hmm.
but we're being respectful. We're not blaring music. We have our ashtrays right here, and we're sitting down. And so we waved and said hi. It's not like we tried to hide much.
Right.
And they walked on by and said, "Have a good day." They were there looking for the illegal Nepalis, and they were there looking for mafia, and they were there looking for big money. And it's just like they're cool with everybody being cool, but they're not going to let it get out of hand.
Right. Right. Sure.
So, yeah, it's really cool to see what the collective's initiative is, because they want to actually, if we can get enough people going on these expeditions every year, because he's got spots in Thailand, Cambodia, Pakistan, India, Spain, and I think somewhere else, that is all part of the collective, where he's got people where he can get people on tours to go see traditional farming methods like this.
Mm-hmm.
And and he can get enough people going on these tourist spots. He wants to get a research station established in all of these villages and valleys so that he can start tracking weather patterns. He can start seeing where the season changes, rainfall, everything. Then he can start applying for appellations and terroir to get these fields preserved so that the genetic preservation can stay, and also the hashish population can stay what it's supposed to be, and
Mm-hmm.
not overdone, so that hopefully all the quality goes up. Yes, demand will go up because quantity will probably go down, but it's just better off to preserve it and let it be what it is, instead of trying to blow it up and make it a global, worldwide available market.
Yeah, it's once you go there, I mean, things just get fucked up.
Yeah,
I
big
mean,
time.
keep it simple.
Yep.
Okay, got rid of that screen. This is so I'm gonna ask you to do something I haven't asked you yet,
Okay.
and feel free to say, no.
Okay.
So I did a bit of a video with you and some friends just a couple days ago. Tell
Yep.
me about that group of people, what you all are trying to do, and how you're doing it.
Okay. So that goes back to the Ganjier program. Um, After we all graduated, everybody in that group is a certified Ganjier. Even the visitor, Sean. So Sean lives in my hometown, and he went through the program after I did because I gave it such stellar review. I was like, man, this is fucking awesome, and it's really good people that give a shit about the plant. So everybody in that group was Ganjier, and really the point is I guess kind of like what you're doing here, talking shit with Merlin, is we're talking shit with potheads and people that give a shit about plants.
Mhm.
And we're just trying to hit basically every angle. We kind of have touched politics a little bit. I don't know if we have religion much, but we've hit politics mainly because obviously prohibition and the legality thing.
Yeah.
And then mental health, medical use. I've talked about breeding. Let's see, Kelly talked about education because she does like bud tender training, so that when people are interacting at that consumer level, it's where maybe somebody who knows what they're talking about is going into a dispensary, but there's a lot of people that don't. So they're going in there talking to 18, or I guess 21, 25-year-old kid that kind of is just that, hey, dude, how fucked up do you want to get?
Yeah.
Instead of having an intelligent conversation with them about terpenes or cannabinoid levels or anything about the plant, because it's really complex. So you need to have intelligent bud tenders that have the right vocabulary to talk to anybody about anything about this plant. And that's a big part of the Ganjier program. So she's taken that as her certification to go out and say, hey, I want to educate your bud tenders. And she's doing a really good job of it. Larry's an accountant. He wasn't there that other night, but you've met Larry.
I did.
And he's fucking super hip on law and accounting and business. And so that's definitely a benefit for me because I've never been business minded. I've just always kind of been a labor guy, go to work, have a job, get the 401k, have the insurance, yada, yada. And I still somewhat am, but I'm trying to be a little more proactively, I guess, on entrepreneurial minded, but I just want to make seeds and I want to see people grow them to see if it helps them. And if they get good results, that's really my focus right now. So I'm learning a lot about the cannabis program, uh, as far as like what is the program in the industry, how is it being grown at a super large scale, all the way down to really small craft farms,
Hmm.
because that's where my heart's at, is at a really small craft farm. It's hard to work at a really small craft farm unless you're like owner of it, because just a few opinions get tossed around, and yeah, sometimes you get nixed out. But I decided to walk away from a small farm, and then I went to a giant farm. I went to a 3 acre, fully synthetic, uh, fertigation, rock wool, yeah, big time shit. And I'm learning a lot. So I'm sharing a lot of that when it comes to the YouTube channel. But we're really just talking broad spectrum about cannabis,
Hmm.
where our passions are at, what we want to see change, what we hope you experience as a consumer when you do go into a dispensary or talk to a bud tender. And of course, we encourage people to go through the GA program. But yeah, it's we're just trying to do a really full, well-rounded conversation and deep conversation. Some of our content's 2-3 hours long. That's not everybody's cup of tea for sure, but
No.
it's sometimes I think it's worth it for the right
So
people that want to hear it.
is there a step up in the Gautier program to like teacher or?
So from what I understand, what we've been told about the framework, as a certified Ganjier, we're only the first level. There
Okay.
will be an advanced level Ganjier, and then there will be an executive level Ganjier. The advanced is for probably growers and then up. So if you're not really cultivating the plant or hands on with the plant, it might not be your best thing,
Hmm.
because that's a big part of the curriculum. It's not completely fleshed out yet, and neither is the executive Ganjier, which is like business ownership. Do you
Okay.
want to own a dispensary? Do you want to own a cultivation site, vertical integration, or middleman type thing?
Hmm.
But yeah, that's the plan. And then the Ganjier program itself is really striving to be the highest echelon of consumer informing. So we are there to assess cannabis. So like I'll go to a dispensary and I'll pull some random sample off the shelf and I'll pay for it. I'll take it home, I'll crack the jar, and I'll go through this whole assessment process that I was trained to do. And now I have access to an app on my phone. And it touches everything from appearance, aroma, uh, effect. What is the last one? Flavor. So
Okay.
it's this probably like 40, 50 point app that I can break down, and each point is broken down into 1-10 scale. And
Okay.
then I get this assessment of this one sample of cannabis. And so somebody can go onto the Ganjier program website and they can look at all the certified Gangier's assessments. And so if you're looking for really high quality, obviously that would be the hope. You'll
Hmm.
go to the highest assessments that are there, and then you might want to travel to that place so that you can experience that high quality cannabis.
Right.
Until we can get an international market or at least an interstate market, that's the way it's kind of got to be, unless you
Yeah.
really have to hook up.
So
So
the
yeah,
website, what is the
yeah.
website? Because,
I believe it's just ganjier.com. So
okay,
it's
simple enough.
Ganjier.
Okay.
So it's based like off a sommelier,
Right. I got that the first time I heard it.
Ganjier. Yeah, for sure. And they have partnered, or I don't know, I can't say partnered, but they have referenced with, I think, Wine Critic, one of the wine uh, most used in North America for like the little store that's on the bottle of wine when you go buy it at the store. This
Hmm.
one's an 88, or this one's a 93, or this one's a 97.
Right.
And
Right.
so we're trying to as Ganjier somewhat transition that over. So yeah, alcohol and cannabis is different. It's very different.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to a consumption experience, we still think that it's valid to rate a sample and say that this one at this point in time from this farm at this dispensary was a pretty good sample. So go check
Hmm.
it out. And people can use their scores, they can use their assessments to promote products to their friends if they want. That's maybe not the most kosher way to do it,
Mm.
but companies can also hire us to assess their cannabis for them so that they have a solid rating to go off of when they put it on their shelves. And the Ganjier program is also really trying to define what the highest quality cannabis is. And it's not using the app or using an assessment system necessarily. It's really showing it to you. So when you go through the training, you have your 40 hours of online training, and then you have to go to Humboldt County because in North
Hey,
America,
Humboldt.
Humboldt County, yeah,
No, yeah,
Humboldt County is
that's
just
it, man.
that's mecca for marijuana.
Yeah.
So you go there and you get to experience the redwoods, and if you've never done that,
Oh, I
it's
have.
fucking
Oh, yeah.
awe-inspiring, and it is like a whole nother planet, and it is
Uh-huh.
the most fantastic environment I think I've ever been in. Um, but you get to go there and also see local farms. So you can go see some of the smaller scale organic, KNF style and in the ground living soil type farms that are growing some of, if not the highest quality cannabis in North America. And so they want to recognize those farms. So they take us there. You get to talk with the farmer. Luckily, I mean, I was one of the first classes in the program. So the farm I got to go to, she was also on the Ganjier Council, one of the instructors.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, her farm was gorgeous. But there's other farmers in the loop now that they see what it's about. When we bring students, it's about respect, and we're not there to like trash their fields or
Right.
call them out or on anything. We know people deal with bud rot. We know people deal with bug infestations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not there to criticize. We're there to learn and experience.
Right.
And so any of those farmers that open up their land to us, we're definitely grateful to them for that. And it's really trying to get these farms recognized so that hopefully they can survive, because it's going to be very rocky. It's rocky right now with all the weird legalization stuff going on. It's going to get even rockier if federalization goes through, if they have some sort of wonky plan for how you can be legally growing cannabis at a
Yeah.
federally approved facility. So it's really trying to get these farms leveled up, the ones that deserve it, so that they can survive through this bumpy shit. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully they have a place to put their product on the shelf no matter how bumpy it gets. And that's kind of the point of the Zomia program too. It's like we want these people to survive. So it's kind of a very similar vibe between the two. It's just one, you get to go explore wild fields, and
Mm.
then the other, you get to go explore some commercial but really, really close to nature farming experiences. So it's a really cool balance between the two. They're not integrated yet, but I think the three of us that went on the expedition, we're going to try and get it integrated for the second tier. If you're going to go try and be an advanced ganjier, we think you need to go see wild cannabis fields somewhere. You need to
Yeah.
go see what they grow like in the native environment. You see them when they're all seeded and when they're all bug damaged and when they're not fertilized and
Mm-hmm.
they're just, when you really see how cannabis grows, it gives you another perspective to the plant. It's pretty cool.
Where just I never asked somebody, where did cannabis originate? I mean, what's home in the very beginning?
Um, Archaeological evidence that we know of at this point in time, and this was also part of the Ganjier program. Frenchie Cannoli dived really hard into this because he wanted to know the same question. He wanted to know where the hell this fucking plant came from,
Right.
because it's really, really crazy and it's really complex and bizarre. Archaeological evidence says like 29 million years ago, it
Jesus.
split. It split from hops. So
Oh,
the plant that we use to
yeah.
flavor beer,
Right.
yeah, they are cousin species, and we
Wow.
have a apparently very prominent split between the two. And that usually doesn't happen. Species it usually
Right.
might adapt to one thing or the other, but
Uh-huh.
for it to split and then they're both still alive and
Right.
still growing 29 million years later, that's pretty radical in the evolutionary chain. Um, and so one develops a whole bunch of terpenes, and then for whatever reason, cannabis dove off and started making cannabinoids at the same
Mm-hmm.
time.
Hmm.
But that was somewhere in China. It was near a Lake Jingchai. I don't know how to exactly pronounce it, but yeah, it's a lake near Tibet. So somewhere around there. And
I
then eventually, because of the Silk Road and everywhere humans have gone, since cannabis has been cannabis, anywhere humans have gone, we've taken it with us.
mm-hmm.
And we have archaeological evidence of that too. That's why it's all over the planet, because humans have been all over the planet now.
See, I read a book a long time ago. I think it was called Living with the Himalayan Masters, and it was about an Anglo, an Englishman that
Okay.
traveled to Tibet and went through all the process of joining a monastery as an utter outsider. But they had this plant for the initiates called, he translated it to soma.
Uh-huh.
And it was either eaten or smoked by the young monks so that they could sit still for their meditation. And I'm going, that's pot. Yeah, that's pot. Sorry, man. That's what it is.
Yep. I agree with you. Yeah. I think it was a whole lot of pot. I think it was a whole bunch of hashish, and they were eating it and they were mixing with some sort of oil or butter or yogurt or milk.
Mm-hmm.
And they were, because that activates it like you're smoking it for when you eat it. So Indians do the same thing. They make a bhang, BHANGE, and they have bhang festivals each year, and they mash the plant with ghee and goat milk and cream, and they get it all mixed up with different spices. Certain spices will activate it too, and then you drink it and you get incredibly stoned, and it's just a big party all night long. And then they go back to normal life after the festival. But yeah, I agree with you. I think it was definitely a way for people to get into altered states of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if smoking was a big thing. Maybe it was like a preparation like that plus incense, burning it in a small
Yeah, enclosed
closet
area. Yeah.
yeah, a fumigation tent, something like that, where they were actually inhaling it but not actively
Right.
cheating it, because I think incense and things like that were definitely commonly used, oil burners, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think humans have been interacting with this thing for a very long time.
Well, and I don't see it going away. I mean,
No.
I spent a goodly number of paranoid years when it was illegal. And like we talked in the beginning, I'm just starting to like relax now. And it's been
Yeah,
legal for
it's
what,
hard.
3 years, thereabouts?
Yeah, I mean, medically over a decade, since
Well,
2008, something like that.
yeah, I'm talking about rec in Arizona. About 3 years.
Arizona was 2018. Yeah.
Oh wow, it's longer than I thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Maybe it was 2020. It might have been 2020.
but it's I don't see how it cannot
Yeah.
go federal. But again, like you were talking about, when it happens, what are they going to do to
Well,
control, regulate, taxing? Again, they're going to tax the shit out of it. End of story.
yeah. Well, have you seen that they're talking about rescheduling it to Schedule 3?
I've heard talk, but I didn't know if that was bullshit or real.
No, it definitely was real. There was talk about it. I just don't know how far it'll go. That would arguably be worse than this current situation we're in now. Schedule 3 means that you have to have a federal license to produce it. So
Ah,
there's nobody making Schedule 3 substances legally at home. So
no.
if they, as long as there is always some sort of home grower, I hate to say it, but as long as it's at least 4 plants, but I want to see 6, I want to see 12, I want to see 2 dozen, I want to see, give me 99, because right now 100 is a felony, 99 or less is not.
Oh, really?
So
I did not
yeah,
know that.
yeah. The
Okay,
feds
cool.
can take the case. They won't always, but the feds can take the case if you're above 99.
Hmm.
So yeah, usually other than that, you're just dealing with state. But I don't want to see any restriction. I want it like fucking dandelions and tomatoes and stuff. And it's like, if
Mm-hmm.
I want to grow a bunch of plants and give it to my neighbor so he's got enough smoke to smoke because he can't grow
Right.
it himself,
Mm-hmm.
That's none of your concern. And it doesn't matter if he gives me $100 or $500 for it, because it takes work to do it. I'm
Yeah.
crafting it. It's a product just like anything else. Yeah, no, maybe I shouldn't be able to sell it to some 18-year-old kid on the street, but if I'm sharing with somebody and they're willing to pay,
Yeah.
you know, like I don't, as long as I'm above a certain age, you say that's legal. That's what legal needs to be. I
Mm-hmm.
don't like this rescheduling. It's like the plant is not dangerous. It's physically benign. Can bad things happen to you when you're under the influence of it? Of course.
Yeah.
That's why you shouldn't operate heavy machinery and all the other things.
Right.
But just like any other mind altering substance,
Right.
we have plenty that are legal. And I shouldn't have to have a prescription for it. I really, really shouldn't. Whether it helps me medically or not, it's a fucking plant. And I can grow it in my backyard and I don't have to adulterate it. I don't have to extract it. I don't have to add anything to it. I don't have to make any sort of preparation with it. It's just a plant.
Mm-hmm.
So it's another piece of my garden, just like you were saying. It's
Yeah.
another piece of my herb cabinet, my dry
Mm-hmm.
herbs that I grow. So yeah,
It's a part of my medicine chest, just like,
yeah,
just like yours.
yep.
Of course, it's one of the more fun medicines I take.
Yeah, so what's wrong with that? Why can't I
Nothing.
be in a good mood
Nothing.
when I take my medicine? Yeah,
Yeah.
do I
Yeah.
have to be a narcotic zombie? It's like I
No.
don't do well on opiates. I don't like them for my pain relief. They don't work for me and I feel like shit. So I shouldn't be forced to take that just because I can go get a prescription for it. Which I'm bitching from the perspective of somebody who doesn't have access to cannabis. But it still happens. There's still
Yeah.
states that are completely illegal. And it's like, man, there's people that can use this and they're not hurting themselves or anybody else when they
Right.
do it. So just relax. I don't know what all this, you're still believing shit that was made up over 100 years ago. Like it's time to get over it. Yeah.
I remember when I was in college, about once a month at the campus bar, they would play Reefer Madness.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
Oh, no, no, no. They
it's
weren't.
so bizarre that that was real, that that was not like a spoof or like,
Well,
oh,
and that's how they treated. This was
I know.
77, 78, and everybody's in there just like laughing their asses off, and the smell of the room starts to change subtly, and the people running the campus bar just kind of look the other way. But once, and it was a party. Of course, all you could buy, oh my god, I'm gonna date myself so bad here. All you could buy in the on campus bar was 3.2 beer. 3.2% alcohol beer, which is, if you're not old or know somebody old, you never heard of this shit. But it was like,
Or been to
piss
Utah.
water beer, and you had to drink a shit ton to get a buzz. So yeah, once a month they played Reefer Madness, and it was a party, and it was a good time.
Oh man,
It was a good
I can
time,
imagine. Yeah, but to think that that piece of production was like meant to be taken serious,
and it
and
was.
it was for a certain amount of time, and it was
Yeah.
just like, oh my goodness, yeah, yeah, that one's rough. That one's rough to watch.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you say, with the right perspective, it's hilarious, but it's
Yes.
like, man, yeah,
Yeah. When you start looking at it as being like, this is what everybody. I mean, everybody believed it. Well, not everybody,
yeah,
but
no,
everybody.
yeah, anybody
And
that could conceive it,
yeah, you start doing crazy shit. You start attacking people, killing people, and and like first of all, if you ever smoked anything good, and I am an indica guy for the most part, I ain't going anywhere, man. I mean, I'm not going fucking anywhere. I'm staying right here. There's my fridge. I'm
yep,
fine.
I am perfectly good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, but hey, that's I grew up through all that shit.
it's crazy, man. Well, yeah, so that's what I'm just doing now, just trying to spread the word about how much cannabis helped me and how many other cool people are doing really cool things in the cannabis space. And now I got to talk about India, and people need to go see live plants. You know, if you give a shit about it and you want to experience it, it's totally fucking worth it. It was really, really, really cool.
If I thought I could go, and where I'm
Yeah.
at right now, I mean, I don't see it. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't see it ever happening. But damn, I'd be like, what do I got to pack?
Right. Well, I don't know. You never know what the future holds. Apparently, within a few years, they're going to have roads and helicopter pads to some of the nicer places up there. And you don't have to go through Delhi or any of the bullshit. You could just fly into one of the closer airports and then take a helicopter ride for like $150 up the mountain.
I could do that. It's just I can't
Right.
walk that much. I
Can't do the
don't.
hike. No, I feel you, man. I'm 34 and the hike kicked my ass, man. It was just, and I'm in relatively good health. It's just you got to be fit to get up those hills, and that was what it was crazy, dude. Man, we're sitting there huffing and puffing on these trails, and we're getting passed by these 5'4", 5'6" Himachali ladies that have got 70 pounds on their fucking back of either weed plants or grasses from the side of the hill, and they're just fucking just back and forth, just back all the way up the terraces, up and down all day long, dude. And that's their life. If they don't get that done fast enough, their livestock starves in the
Mhm.
wintertime. So it's just like it's work. You wake up, you go to work, you go home,
What
and
kind of
you're
effect did the altitude have on you guys?
big time, dude. By the time we were trying to get up to the highest village we went to, about every 5-10 minutes, we'd all have to stop and take a break.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it was yeah, it was pretty rough. The highest altitude I've ever been to was 11,005, but uh, that was even rougher. I was a little heavier back then too.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Yeah, I'm having some memory issues today. There's actually I can't remember what it's called. Um, Once a year, right around 4th of July, there's a gathering of tens of thousands of hippies someplace.
Burning Man.
No, no, no. Burning Man is like so commercialized that it's like
I see. Yeah.
turns me off. But this is just the year we went, and eventually I'm gonna remember the name of this damn thing. There were 14,000 of us.
Wow.
We drove in partway, walked in a considerable distance, and then down a hill into a valley. And people go in and set this up, and they run water systems for potable, non-potable, and rainbow gathering. Jesus, Mike, it's called the rainbow
Oh
gathering.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, we went one year, and the floor of the valley was at 13,000 something. And we were north of Gallup.
Damn.
Okay. I fucking hallucinated.
I bet.
You
Yeah.
know, the second morning I got up and got out of our tent, and I'm looking, and we were behind a guy by the name of Seven Song, which is he is a nationally renowned herbalist. Um, and I'm like, dude, where's the trailer? And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, between those two trees was this little trailer, and y'all were going in and out of it all night, getting shit and coming out. And he's like, come over here and sit down. First question, what are you smoking? And I'm like, at this point, nothing. What are you on? Nothing. He's like, okay, no trailer, never a trailer. How the hell do we get it in here short of a helicopter? Sit down. And he made a concoction of herbs for altitude sickness.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and today I could still see that trailer sitting there between those two trees. I remember exactly what it
Wow.
looked like, and it wasn't there. So altitude will mess you up if you're not used to it, man.
For sure.
But
Yeah.
He teaches an herbalism class in New York State, and his
Okay.
graduates go with him to the Rainbow Gathering, and they diagnose and suggest herbs, and then they run it through him. And this is the graduation process: hands-on
Okay.
herbal medicine.
Sick.
And
Yeah.
you get into the gathering, and there is no money. There's bartering, but there's no money, no need for it. There's kitchens, just now coffee. Coffee is gold there. And Juanita and I had no idea how addicted we were to caffeine.
Oh,
And
for
we're
sure.
just,
And caffeine is hell to come off of, especially at altitude.
and
Yeah.
yeah, so that was bad. But there was a camp a little ways down from us, and somebody heard something, and they came down, and grandma, grandpa, we've got coffee up here, come up and get some, it'll make you feel better. And you sit down, you're drinking this coffee that is syrup and delicious, and it's like, have you guys ever heard of marijuana? And we both just started grinning. So you've heard of it, do you want some? I'm like, yeah. It was a good time, man, it really was. It was a
That's
good
so cool.
time. I'd love to be able to do it again. um Time will tell.
Yeah. Feels good being around good people.
It does. It makes everything better. It
Yeah.
makes everything wonderful.
Yeah. That's definitely how it was up in the Himalayas.
I
A lot of
listening
good
to you the
people.
other day and looking at the pictures and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, man, I really love to be able to do that, but
Yeah,
I'm not seeing it. But
for sure.
should something happen, I'm like, I'm on the road.
Yep.
So I'm about ready to wrap up because I got to go find my oxygen. So, who, what, and do you want to plug? Whose website? Whose cause? Who? Give us the people you think we should be looking at and listening to and talking with.
Definitely check out the Zomia Collective. I really appreciate the work that they're putting in, helping the local farmers, getting them taken care of by buying their seeds so that they don't have to take money from the mafia,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then making the seeds available to the market to the people that want to grow those seeds. And then definitely Ganjier program. Check out the people that are in the council. Kevin Jodry, Frenchy Cannoli has passed, but he's got amazing archive of information on how to make hashish, ice water bubble hash. Um, who else? Certified Talk is the name of our channel for our YouTube channel. We don't have a whole lot published yet, but Merlin here is gonna maybe help us out with that.
Oh yeah,
So
we're gonna get that rolling.
get a few things touched up for us, make us look real professional. But yeah, uh, and then anybody that you can think of as far as doing good things in the cannabis space or the gardening and getting back to earth, living soil, soil food web,
No, soy
all
food
those
web. Oh yeah,
people.
that's Elaine Ingram.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
Dr. Elaine Ingham. Yep,
Oh
she
yeah.
is
Yep.
absolutely fantastic. I've seen her speak in person twice. She's fantastic.
Oh, I have
And
not.
you
Just
can,
just on video.
she's amazing, man. You can go ask her any question about anything, and she'll just sit there and just get full. That woman is, I don't know how old, but she is just so full of energy, and she's just excited to teach people about this shit because
Mm-hmm.
it blows her mind. She was one of the world's biggest skeptics on this shit about biology, driving plant health, yada yada. No, we have chemistry, we can do it better. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then she started doing the science. She started really doing the science because she was so fucking skeptical. And now she does not shut up about it. She tours around, she talks, she does full on lectures. She's showing people how to even use a microscope. She
Yeah.
starts with, she's just an awesome woman. She's so cool. But yeah, Chris Trump, Kevin Jodry, he's part of the Ganjier program. That's who I learned about it from. But he just got back from Pakistan the same time we were in India.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody trying to get good genetics into people's hands that want to grow a plant. But yeah, thank you for having me on, Merlin.
Oh,
I
thanks for
certainly
being here,
appreciate it.
man. And I'm sure we
Yeah.
will talk again soon. If not here, back on the other channel.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Sounds good.
All right, man. You have a good night.
You too.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Uh-huh. Good night.